Welcome to Scrapbook My Life, where I tell you an embarrassing story to save you from making the same embarrassing mistakes I did. I had just gotten my first job. And not just any job, a job at Beanbox, the coffee shop down the street from my school. We had coffee, gelato, and Wi-Fi. It was one of the coolest after-school hangout spots. I had only been working there for a couple weeks, but I was starting to get the hang of it. I knew how to phone lattes, make change, and never forgot the Wi-Fi password anymore. It was after school on a Tuesday, and I was working the register all alone. I heard the little bell on the front door ring. I looked up. It was Ruby, the most popular girl in school. She was with a group of her popular friends, and I was terrified of all of them. My heart was pounding in my chest. "Hey, Ruby," I said. "How do you know my name?" she replied. Dang, did she really not know who I was? We basically sat next to each other in math. Was I going to be unpopular forever? But then, my luck turned around. I was ringing up her latte. I made a joke about how our teacher, Mr. Greenfield, always spits when he talks about right triangle formulas. Ruby laughed. In fact, all of her friends laughed too. Were we friends now? As I made her latte, my whole new life flashed before my eyes. Ruby would invite me to go to the mall after school. At the mall, I'd win over all of her popular friends. They'd beg me to join the tennis team just so they could hang out with me. But of course, I would still stay friends with my friends. Because, you know, I'm a good person. Without paying any attention to what I was doing, I finished the latte and I wrote a name on the cup. I turned around and handed the cup to Ruby. She looked down and laughed. Isn't Sarah your name?" I had written my own name on the cup instead of Ruby's. My legs went cold. My throat felt like it was going to close up. I panicked. "No," I replied, for some reason. All of Ruby's friends laughed and pointed at my name tag. My fantasy about my new life vanished. I wasn't gonna be one of the popular girls. I was gonna be that crazy coffee shop girl that the popular girls laughed about at lunch. The next day at school, I felt 2 inches tall, crushed by the weight of my own stupidity. Why did I write my own name on the cup? Why did I lie and say my name wasn't Sarah? Ruby and her friends walked by my locker. They all laughed to themselves and called out, "Hey, not Sarah." Suddenly, I remembered that first moment that Ruby had walked into the coffee shop. She said she didn't know me, but she definitely knew me. We practically sat next to each other in math. There was no way she didn't recognize me. Well, 2 could play at that game. "How do you know my name?" I asked Ruby and her friends. "If you're new, I can give you directions," I offered, pretending to genuinely not remember who they were. And it kind of worked. I mean, it didn't earn me a spot in the popular crowd, but Ruby and her friends were too confused to ever bring up the cup incident again. Eventually, I'd learned that there's nothing that special about the popular girls. There's no reason to be scared of them. And also, it turned out my real friends were a lot nicer anyway.